Okay, welcome to Hopeifiers. I am the acapellist. I am here with Brother Scott Sweetman. How are you tonight, Scott?
I'm good. Good evening, Al, and everyone. Hope you had a good day today.
Yes. So I know there are huge troubles in other parts of the world. I would like to avoid that topic if you're okay with that.
Fair enough.
I once we go there, I kind of find the road to hope a little more challenging to get to, and maybe that's being a little bit of an ostrich, and I do apologize if that's leading us astray. But let's focus on.
I'm not going to judge it, man. Everyone's got to do what they need to do to stay healthy.
Okay,
and we're all about hope. They can tune in the news or other things to get the details of what's happening.
Okay, so let me tell you about my day, and then you can
Let
tell
me hear about it.
All right. My colleague, Janelle Marietta from the United Way, she had asked me if I wanted to be part of this thing called the Social Impact Lab. And I really didn't know what it is, but I know Janelle. And so Janelle says, this is a good idea. I said, yes, ma'am, I'm there. So I went there today. It was at the Southern Alberta Ethnic Center. Beautiful place. Have you been in there before?
I haven't been in the new one. Nope.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They have some beautiful meeting rooms there, and we've been there for dances and meetings, and it's just a beautiful place. Anyways, we went there, and there was this group of kind of I don't know how Janelle selected who she selected, and there was a lot of folks from the United Way team in Calgary, and there was a team from this facilitator that they've hired for the project called J5. And so there was, I don't know, like maybe 18, 20 of us or something. And then all of the conversation was kind of about the path forward to make the changes we need to make. Like it's really going kind of upstream to say, all right, let's clearly identify what the problems are, who's impacted, and then have them provide the input in terms of how they need to be helped, how they want to be helped, kind of a thing. And
so you're getting closer to actionable status. That's what I always find is you need to get that actionable plan from those meetings, right?
Exactly. And actually, one thing that I learned earlier this week too, we're having a conversation about allyship and what allyship means. And basically the take home for me, which everybody else around the table knew this and I didn't, but is that kind of you have friendship is kind of the first part, right? Mm-hmm. And then friendship coupled with action to help this friend is allyship. Oh. And to me, that's pretty clean. That makes sense to me, right? And so if that's the case, if that's how this progresses, we got to make a whole bunch more friends. We got to be doing some friend making is what has to happen.
So allies need to be friends first. We can't be talking about politics.
No. We're not talking about politics. We're talking about community.
Talking about real people, right?
Right. Not people who get elected, but people who show up because they want to make a difference in their community. That's what we're talking about.
You bet.
All right.
Cool. And so how did you leave feeling through the meeting? You left feeling pretty positive?
Oh, yeah. It was a beautiful experience. We did a little round the table, kind of the introductions, that kind of a thing, right? And it was, you had to tell about a time that you felt heard, right? But I could not contain myself. I got to the front and saw all those smiling faces, no masks. Oh, it was beautiful. So I said, you know what this kind of inspires me? I can see clearly now the rain has gone. So I sang just a little bit, just a touch, because I was so inspired by what a beautiful sight it was.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great day. Loved it.
You know, you say that about the masks. I went out, and we're going to talk about that a little later, for the first time without a mask in public for a long time, well, for a couple of years, and it felt really strange. Like I kind of felt like I was missing something, and it was the nature.
Strange and beautiful is what it feels. Strange and beautiful.
It was, but because the guy there was doing some stuff, he had a mask on, except when he was talking to me. So it was sort of like, oh, mask, oh, relax. Then, oh, no mask. Okay, am I breaking some kind of rule here? Double check. So those things impact 2 years of behavior impact us, right?
Right.
So
And you know what? I don't mean to be that I'm just, hey, don't wear a mask anymore. I'm not saying that. There was some people there that were wearing masks. And then for when they were seated enough apart from, they take their masks off, or when they're going to eat. And then when they were in a closer or they were moving around, then they put their mask on. Right. So I'm not saying don't wear masks, but, and I am saying though, be very respectful of what comfort level the others that you are, where their comfort level
yeah,
is. Right.
I think common sense should kick in. We talked a
Yeah.
lot about a family, and in Japan, when you're sick, you wear a mask, and you're very careful. You cough into fabric, your elbow, you wash your hands, so you're not touching things, you distance yourself from people, and it really is on you not to spread. You don't go into work if you're really sick, those types of things, and that's sort of the stance that we're taking, is that it is on us to try to protect our fellow members of the community from not catching things when we have a cold or when we're feeling unwell. So I think there's a middle ground that doesn't have to be political, and it doesn't have to be oppressive, and it can be voluntary, right?
Let's have enough room for everybody to make the decisions that they're going to make, that they're going to feel safe with, right? Let's leave enough space for that. Also,
well, and
Scott,
I'm fine if somebody's healthy, but if somebody's hacking and coughing and sick, they shouldn't be out in the public, and we're guilty of that, right? In the past.
No, that's a fair statement. You're right. That's being responsible. If you're sick, stay home, right? So yeah, that's well said, Scott. I wanted to tell you, who was at the thing today too is our friend James Van Leeuwen from Pitcher Creek. So it was like, I'm looking, like, James, hello. Anyways, so that was kind of like a little reunion. It was beautiful.
Excellent. So you're amped today. You're jacked.
I am. I'm pretty stoked. I was, listening to all these people talking about how we're gonna understand and and care and make a difference in other people's lives, and what that ideal kind of community life would be like, kind of a thing. It's very inspiring.
And I think that that's a really powerful message full of hope that we should give people, is that when you're feeling like you don't have a lot of hope and you're feeling kind of negative, when you're feeling down, that put yourself in an environment where there's positive people that are looking at the future in a positive way. If you go to the same old local haunt where everyone complains about the government, the taxes, the economy, and their next door neighbor, you're not going to leave there feeling good. I mean, how would that be possible?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. Go to a place where people are positive, where people are looking for solutions, where people are talking about answers instead of complaining about things they have no idea to help or fix. And as an alternate solution, go to someplace neutral. Go to churches. Most are still open during the day. You can go in there and just relax, even if it's not your church, you're not a participant or a worshiper. Places now, I was used to go to the university. Even when I was finished with the university, there's lots of great spaces in the university to just be quiet and think good thoughts and think about things in a positive way. Where do you go, Al, when you want to? Well, of course, you go to lots of meetings and things, but where do you go when I know Corolla goes out with the horses. Where do you go when you want a positive atmosphere?
Well, Scott, first of all, I like your advice, right? Go to where you're going to be with people who are going to fill you up, right? Yeah. That are going to support you, that are going to encourage you, that are going to assist you, that are going to want to enable you, empower you, encourage you, right? That's the people you need to go hang out with. And maybe when you go hang out with them, that's how you start the conversation.
Al, sorry to interrupt.
Right now, I need a little encouragement, brother. Can you help me with that?
Yeah.
What would be wrong with that?
Al, just a sec. I can hardly hear you. I don't know if there's a problem with your mic, but I've got my volume cranked right up, and you're starting to whisper. And I know you're not a whisperer, buddy. So
how's that?
That's better. Yeah.
That's good or better? It doesn't have
a little bit better. Yep.
All right. Here, I'm just going to do it this way.
Sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure that our fans and myself, of course, can hear what you're saying.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect.
All right. So Man, I was in the middle of a rant there. What was I talking about, Scott?
That you're
Oh,
right. When you want to get filled up. Yep.
yes. So as you have said, go to people who will fill you up, right? Who will encourage you, who will assist you, who will support you, who will empower you, who will, help give you a kind word and a pat on the back, right? And perhaps be very forthcoming if that's what you need. You know, Scott, I would have no problem, buddy, if you called me up and say, you know what, I'm feeling kind of discouraged today. I need a little encouragement, Alan. Can you help me with that? And I would say, thank you for sharing that. I got you, buddy. And then we would talk about something. We would remember something that made us both smile. All right. That's
With you and I, that'd be an easy thing to do.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So my point is, I agree entirely with what you're saying, but I'm going to add one more to it because this is what I do. I'm not saying don't rely on other people, but maybe other people are not easy to access right now for whatever the reason, right?
Mhm.
You, though, have a lot of control. You have a lot of influence about how you're feeling in this moment. And you know where I'm getting to, don't you? I'm going to talk about that ventral vagus response again.
Yeah.
And so we have this thing called the vagus nerve. It has 3 different ways that it can function. The best and highest way is this ventral vagus response. And there are many different ways you can get to that ventral vagus response. With me, it is singing. So if I need some encouragement or I'm feeling already pretty good, I come down and sing a couple songs. And without a doubt, I've elevated my mood. I've elevated my energy level for sure. And um, I have made this present moment very special, very valuable to me, very, very something that I love to be in this present moment by that act. So that's activating my ventral vagus response. Maybe singing isn't your thing, but there is something, your thing, that you can do that.
I think too that there's an important message in this, that if you get in the habit of always going to somebody else and saying, oh, I really need to pick me up today, pick me up, that a few things happen that often turn negative and end up not working out the way you want them to work out. And so psychologists have done a lot of research, and they've realized that all of our emotions are like a muscle. So I have perhaps the desire for an endless amount of hope and an endless amount of forgiving and an endless amount of, ability to help other people out. But the truth is we run out, as we get run down, as we get tired, the more people ask us for help, the more we give help, we actually run out of the stuff that powers that ability. And, they've done it for years now, looking into self-control. And the truth is that self-control has a level that goes down the more you exercise self-control. So, if it's first thing in the morning and you're feeling great and somebody says, hey, do you want a cookie? You might say, nah, I'm good, thanks. Good self-control. By late afternoon, you've had problems at work, lots of, stressful phone calls, the heel broke on your high heels, and somebody says, hey, you want to go outside and have a smoke? You're like, yeah, I've quit, but you know what? Yeah, let's go for one, just one. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you're weak. It's because that self-control muscle is exhausted. You've been tapping it all day. And so you have to be really careful of that. And often when we turn to people again and again, and people in relationships, this occurs a lot. Or even if we go, priests, shaman, all of those people don't have unlimited amounts of caring and concern. They want to, but if you're the 50th person that has come to them and said, my life is broken and I'm really sad, and they don't give you the sincere, powerful response you're looking for, it might not be because they don't care. It might just be that they're low. And, when I always talk to people, when you start feeling bad, if you use your tools first, and I really appreciate that I can come to you and say, Al, give me a big hug. Let's just laugh a little bit. But I keep that for when I really need it. When I've tried all of my tools and all the things I know, like you're singing. For me, I like to just hum and make crazy noises, things I like to do that'll help me get positive.
Hey,
I
wait,
go to those first.
Scott, Do you want to give us a sample of your humming and crazy noises?
No, because you'll think I'm insane.
No. I will. I promise. I'm with you. I want to hear it. It might be
Okay,
something
we'll
I'm
save
going to
that for
adapt.
another show. We'll save that for another show.
Okay.
But
All
really,
right.
what I
Okay.
want, I will. I'll share that. No,
Okay.
it's fun and it's funny for me. I make up languages and I chant and sing songs because I can't sing, but it's the same with that vagus nerve, the vibration, the timbre, the breathing, all of those things activate the vagus nerve for me.
And you know what? The more you seem to kind of figure out how to turn that switch on, the easier it is to get there.
Oh yeah.
I was in the bookstore the other day looking for a book, and I was humming when I was looking for the book, and I could feel the humming in my chest because it was pretty vigorous humming, right? But I also felt it all the way down into my foot, into my big toe of my right foot. I thought, oh, I haven't felt that before. That's interesting. And so I think it's just kind of, you're kind of working them networks, right? And you're kind of getting that switch honed and smoothed out kind of a thing. So it seems to be easier and quicker to access.
A little story along that line. When I was a kid, I grew up on a ranch. I couldn't sing, as I said. So I'd never tried to sing the songs on the radio, even when I was alone. But I don't know how. I heard some opera. And of course, I didn't understand Italian to save my life. But the sound was wonderful. So I used to be driving around hay bales to the horses and the cattle, and I'd be singing Figaro, Figaro. And this, and I'm sure the cattle thought I was nuts. Anyone who heard this, beat up old Ford pickup go by with this cowboy hat wearing, Central Albertan singing Figaro would have thought I'm in a different time zone. Something's gone wrong in the universe. But as you said, it was just that way. Now I know, but it's just that way to activate that vagus nerve. And badly imitating an opera was a great way for me to not feel self-confident because I didn't really know how it was supposed to sound. I just know it had a lot of power and energy and used your whole body to make these great noises. So
and if everybody could just kind of try it without any evaluation to it, right? Don't whether it's good, bad, doesn't matter, whether it's soft or hard or none of those evaluation of it, just in terms of experiencing it in your body, making those noises, right? As and that maybe you're not even making up words, you're making up sounds, or humming, and just have that experience and feel that and say, oh my goodness, that in a very short period of time you can feel a physical response. You can feel like a slowing down of your respiration. You can it's very self-optimizing, I'm going to call it.
We should invite some people and do a workshop on it because it really is. It's simple. It's free. There's no harm to anyone. It's right now. You don't have to wait. It's not a prescription. It's not something you have to hide from people. Everyone makes crazy noises and does things like that. So I really think it is one of the big tools that we can all have on our belt. But circling back to what I was going on about before we got on the vagus nerve and how, making crazy noises and singing Figaro can improve your life, is that you have to be careful. You have to believe that you can ask people for help. We both agree on that 100%. And if you're close to the edge, man, stop somebody on the street. I've stopped on the street and given somebody I didn't know a hug, and it made him better, and that was cool. Like, no problem. I didn't think, oh boy, this is a weird situation. But if we're always going to people, and I know it's hard because when we trust somebody, and I'm talking about partners or friends or colleagues, when we trust somebody and we're having a really hard time, often we go to that person repeatedly for support. And as much as they may want to help us, we're really draining their ability to offer us the support that we think we need. And often we get less than we had hoped for by the 7th or 8th or 9th or 10th time we've gone to them and said, I'm having real trouble and I'm struggling through this. Can you do anything to help me out? Or even if we don't ask, just presenting it, knowing that person will say, hey, you're okay. So I'm saying this and I've heard some sort of not sad stories, but just people that say, well, it's, you ask people and then they're like, yeah, sure, I got my own problems. And I think when that happens, it's not that that person, some people are like that, but very few. Most people, if that's a response you get, step back for a second and just say, okay, I don't know what this person's been doing for the last 8 hours. I don't know how their week's going. I don't know how their month is going. Their carrying muscle could be, as low as mine is. They're just not showing it right now.
Well, hey, even if that was the expression, hey, I got my own problems, what is that saying? I got needs of mine that aren't being met either, right?
Yeah.
And so perhaps they're not in a position of, if you will, overflowing, like in their life, right? There's something they have to change, adjust, correct in their lives to get their needs met. So, into order for them perhaps to be able to respond, to be able to respond to somebody else's needs, right?
And that's a great answer, Al, because that could be an invitation for you to say, well, hey, let's do something together to recharge a little bit. Why don't we, go see a funny movie? Or we stockpile stand-up comedians on our DVR thing. And so if everyone's just having a bad day, but we don't have time to sit down and watch a show or something, we'll put on a comedian for 15, 20 minutes. And even if you don't laugh yourself, just hearing other people laugh and seeing somebody be goofy. We don't put on like the nasty kind of cut people down, just the goofy kind of wordplay, silly situation comedians. And 10, 15 minutes of that, everyone's feeling a little bit better. No,
Definitely.
the problems haven't gone away, and the bills aren't magically paid, and the health hasn't suddenly shot up, but you're feeling a little more ready to handle that stuff and tackle it and go forth. So I agree with you. I think that when somebody says, I've got my own stuff, that's really an invitation to say, hey, why don't we do something together and recharge ourselves a bit. What do you think about that?
I think that makes good sense. And I'm not sure this is entirely related, but I think it is. I kind of came to the insight recently, and I forget who taught me this, that criticism is basically, what I perceive as criticism is really an expression of a need from that person who's expressing that. Like, I'm viewing it as criticism, but that person is really saying, I need this, right?
Yeah.
And if you know that, then you don't get angry that you're being criticized or sad that you're being criticized. Then okay, what is it you need? And like, how can I help you get
it would be really easy. And I invite all the trolls out there. If you really need to hack on somebody, watch Al and I watch one of our shows, man. You can criticize the heck out of us because it's really easy. But really what you're saying is, what I hope you get out of that is, Al and I are having a great time here. And, we're sharing heart to heart with each other, and we're opening that up to anyone who wants to sit around the circle and share in our heart and our love for each other and the friendship that we share together. And, if you have to get here because we're easy to criticize, but eventually you get it and you get the point that we don't care. And we're just here to share. Both of us, for different reasons in different ways, are full. And, we have succeeded in different things, and we want to share that with you, and you'll get it. So
that is beautifully said, Brother Scott. Hey, I don't know what time it is. I could put on my glass and find out, but we want to hear the tattoo story.
Oh, the tattoo story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, not recently. So I'm sure anyone who's been around me for any amount of time, because I always talk about it, I have two fantastic twin girls. They're 21 now. I better have gotten that right. They're 22 this summer. If I didn't, I'm going to get a beating. But I love them. They're great people. They have their problems. They make mistakes. They do stuff that is cringeworthy as their dad, but they've got good hearts, and they're out there living their life and trying to help people and do the best they can.
Oh, they're beautiful human beings. How long have I known them? Since they were like, what, 12 or something?
Oh, younger than that, Al. Yeah,
was it?
You met us shortly after we came, so like 9.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. 9 or 10, 11. They're yelling at me 11 here, so
11? Okay. Yeah. Well, yell
not
back that I love them and they're wonderful.
Oh, it's not them, but I'll it's Fleur and Michelle. He loves you, girls. When you watch this later, girls, and I know you watch it. Yeah, they all laugh at me here. I know you watch it, girls. Al loves you and thinks you're a good person. Anyway, yeah, so they are pretty good. Almost all kids are, if given a chance, right? It's like a stray dog. They're pretty easy to hate when they're running around mangy and homeless and aren't fed, and those kind of things. Like when I was teaching kids, the only time a kid was bad is when they were hungry, when they were uncomfortable, when they felt sad, when they felt inadequate or insecure. One of those things were at the root of every bad kid. And if you could find out which one of those things were, you know, that burr under their saddle, you could help them not be a bad kid anymore. And bad, I'm
That
talking.
is an excellent insight. I hadn't thought of that before, but that's well said.
Ask your wife. I learned that training horses. There's no bad horses. When there's a problem, it's because they feel one of those main things and don't know how to react. So they're reacting in a way that we interpret as being bad, right?
Right.
So,
right.
But kids especially, and I would, all the time I've spent around kids, and like you were involved in a lot of youth programs and things, is if you find a child, and it probably pertains to adults too, and they're acting out. We used to get a lot of kids from North America on Ritalin and all sorts of drugs. And we had a policy in our school that we gave love, not drugs. And some people might think that's sanctimonious, but we put the time, you know, we might have 2 or 3 teachers working with one child just to find out whether it was fear, whether it was pain, whether it was, you know, feelings of insecurity, feelings of any of these, you know, things that we all feel that was causing this child to act out in a way that they know brought them attention. Now, it wasn't always good attention, but as you know, bad attention is better than no attention when you're a little person looking for love.
Yeah.
So I think that when we encounter those things, and getting back to the girls, that, yeah, sure, they have days and they have their own problems, but I'm proud of them. And I'm glad that I'm sharing the time I have with them. And my life wouldn't be as good without that time. So, I was really proud. And both of the girls, it actually started out, they got a little twin tattoo each. And then, I'm sorry, everyone, I know some people are against tattoos, and I was. That should be some preview of what's coming. And they got little tattoos on their wrist, twin tattoos, identical tattoos. My twins are identical twins. And which is an identical twin is an automatic way of saying my twins are more different than any 2 people on the planet could be, but they share DNA. That's all identical twins. So anyway, they got a little twin tattoo. And I said to Sabrina, when she was younger, I gave her an Ouroboros. And you can look that up, folks, if you want. It's from mythology. It's a snake or a dragon eating its own tail. It's a symbol of eternity. It's a symbol of revitalization, rebirth, all of those things. Great symbol. And I gave her a pendant of mine that was an Ouroboros, and she carried that around forever. And we were talking about tattoos one day, and I said, oh, you should get an Ouroboros, and then you'll always have that gift that I gave you, because, you know, it symbolizes that you keep going and you keep, you know, things keep coming around. If it's bad, it's going to get good. So anyway, so sort of tongue in cheek, and she got one on her ankle. This really nice tattoo of a dragon eating its own tail and some nice sakura flowers around it, because they were born in Japan. And she said, oh, you should get one too. And I wanted mine to be a little bit different in style. And unfortunately, I got sick and I couldn't get mine at that time. And it sort of, life interfered and got in there. And Katrina, I don't know, a month ago said, hey, Dad, you want to get a tattoo together? And I said, sure. What do you mean? What do you want? And she said, well, I'd really like, you know, I'm getting older and, you know, I'd go out and do life and move, you know, everything going on. She said, I'd really like something that would connect us and our story together. And I'd like some, you know, something that we can always look at and feel and touch that represents that connection between us. And I said, oh, yeah, that sounds cool. You know, a little tear in my eye. All dads want to hear that from their daughters. Hearing "You're my hero, Daddy" is only the first thing, right? And so I said, okay. And she said, what should we get? And since she was little, we lived quite near a temple in Japan that was for kitsune spirits. And kitsune is a fox spirit in Japan. They're the 9-tailed foxes. They're very prevalent in Japanese mythology, and they're mischievous and they're playful. They're positive most of the time, but they can be evil-ish. They play a lot of tricks. Impish, I guess, is a good English word for it. And they can lead lost people to safety, those kind of things. So they're helpful, they're loyal, they're kind. And I call Katrina Kit Kat, right? And everyone thinks it's for kitty cat, but it's actually for Kitsune cat, for my little mischievous fox, Katrina. And so she said, oh, well, we should get a Kitsune tattoo. So I said, okay. And we started looking at tattoos. And of course, we wanted them in the Japanese style. And we said, well, a Kitsune would be great because it ties in, your birthplace, Japan. And I loved living in Japan. And it reminds us of, our time there together and our connection to each other. So 2 days ago, yesterday, day before, I went down to a really nice guy, Ryan Buttar. Great guy.
Can I show that picture now, Scott?
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah.
Ryan is a tattoo artist at the La Luna Blue. Sorry, I just had it backwards in my head. And Ryan did Katrina's tattoo before mine because I had some COVID symptoms the day I was supposed to go in and see him. And it didn't turn out to be COVID, but we didn't want to get anyone sick. So at 55, this was my very first tattoo. And Ryan, if you want a tattoo, man, go talk to Ryan. He does amazing stuff. All sorts of styles, but he's very, very good at Japanese style. And this is a Kitsune mask. And these are very common in Japan. You can see the fox mask. And it was a really cool experience, Al.
So is that like flames on the forehead or something?
Yeah, they're a spirit. So there's lots of energy and fire and movement about them. They're always depicted with those flames, different styles. Sometimes they're more circular. Sometimes they're like this. They just represent their energy as far as I know.
Beautiful. Very nice. Well,
yeah.
What a nice dad-daughter moment. That's beautiful.
Well, and I'm cycling back to Sabrina because she sort of got ripped off because we were going to do it first, but health didn't allow. And then, but that doesn't take away they're each their own kind of thing. But
okay, so you're going to get one with Sabrina now, matching with Sabrina.
Yeah, we had always planned on that, so I'll have one with each. But I have to tell you, and I was never a tattoo person. I was like, when Katrina was down and got hers and her friend was there because I couldn't be there taking a picture, I called her and not text her. I called her and I'm like, what in the heck? Why is it so big? Like I thought we were getting little ones, like up on her shoulder where people can. And she's like, relax, Dad. And oh, goodness gracious. Until she came home and I actually saw it. And now I love mine. And to watch an artist create art on your own body, and it's not fun. Like, it doesn't feel pleasant, but it doesn't, depending on where they do it, right? So, like he said, the closer it gets to the joint, it'll hurt more. And he was right. Towards the top and bottom, it hurt more.
Sorry to interrupt, Scott. I don't know if you know this, but Sabrina and I chatted today.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. And so the tattoo she's going to want you to get says, Sabrina is my favorite daughter. Big one on your back, like huge.
Yes, I believe that. Absolutely. With twins, there's always that give and take, right? And that's true. But I am saying that this tattoo has been an inspiration for me. And it's something that I was against. It was just something I thought, nah, I don't need to do that. It's vain. It's, it's for young people. It's for whatever. I had a whole list of excuses, but I was like a kid in a candy store when Ryan was doing this thing. It's like, holy cow. And he would wipe it and do some more. And I'm like, how are you staying in the lines? How can you see that? And he just did it. And we chatted. I probably drove him crazy. But I invite you, if you've passed the years where it really matters what you do to your own body, because you know what, it's yours and you can do what you want with it. Go get a tattoo, man. It's you don't have to get a big one, but I loved it, and I got a whole new appreciation for what
Scott,
people
would
do.
you, to close out our show,
Yeah.
would you say that getting a tattoo has
Yep.
increased your hope?
Absolutely, 1000%.
Hallelujah. There's one way that we know for sure for Scott increases hope. So here's one. Figure out your own. Here's one.
That's
Okay.
exactly right. Figure out your own, and don't be scared, because I wouldn't have guessed that this would be one. And I'm already planning number 2 and 3.
Nice.
So,
That's awesome. And for our viewers, call us. We would love to chat with you.
you bet.
Okay.
We're those guys who very, very seldom run out of hope or care. So you can talk to us anytime.
Exactly. All right, brother Scott. See you next
Okay,
week.
have a good night, man. Thanks.